Welcome to the Unstoppable Success podcast, where we spotlight visionary leaders who have mastered the art of growth, purpose, and powerful connections. I'm your host, Jaclyn Strominger, connector, high performance coach, and creator of the Leap to Your Success framework and 2 Steps to Yes. Each week, we dive into bold insights, real conversations, and powerful strategies to fuel your growth, deepen your relationships, and ignite transformational momentum. And why? Because you were meant to be unstoppable. Now, let's leap into the podcast. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another amazing episode of the Unstoppable Success Podcast. I am your host, Jaclyn Strominger. And as you know, on this podcast, we hear from amazing leaders about all of their insights, tips, and things that have helped make them absolutely unstoppable. They want to share those with you so you can be unstoppable as well. And today I have a great guest, Jennifer Markwell. And let me tell you, first of all, we're like in the same state, which is usually, and actually in the same town, which usually doesn't happen. So super even more exciting. But Emmy award-winning journalist turned wealth advisor. She's the president and CEO of Platinum Wealth Management. She is totally respected in her groundbreaking work in financial empowerment and blending emotional intelligence with strategic wealth planning to help individuals understand not only what they do with money, but why they do it. So she has had an amazing career. She is totally unstoppable, and I cannot wait for you guys to meet her. So without further ado, welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad you are here. So, okay, obviously, number one question I'm sure you get asked all the time, the pivot. What made you pivot?
Yeah, so it was nothing that I planned for myself by any means. And I feel like life sometimes takes you on that journey by all means.
Yeah.
I worked 20 years in television, was Emmy nominated, thought I'd always work in television, had just signed a very big, large international contract, and my grandpa got sick. My grandparents raised me, they were mom and dad, and he passed away. So I went home and we're trying to pick up the pieces emotionally, obviously, of losing him. He was like the complete backbone of my family. And we found ourselves not only trying to pick up those pieces, but also the pieces financially. So we found ourselves going in front of different advisors at different institutions, and they didn't have a lot, but what they had was spread around. And we never had the warm, fuzzy feeling that anyone cared or wanted to do what was in my grandma's best interest. And she said, if we're going through this, imagine how many other women are as well. And in that moment, I think of it as like my river analogy, right? You can stand in the river, you can have the water keep hitting your back, you can fight it, you can try to go upstream, also not comfortable, or you can kind of go with the flow with the river and see where it takes you. And I feel like that in that moment, I said, okay, I'll learn everything I can. And here I am, 16 years later almost as a financial advisor. And then I founded my own firm, Platinum Wealth Management.
So, right. So let me just ask back up for a second. So when you made that change
hmm
and you thought about that, because I think a lot of people like, did you have the fear?
I know I needed to do it, right? I needed to help her in her journey and make sense of investing. And of course, that journey wasn't comfortable. Of course, right? That was a whole new land that I didn't know, a foreign language I didn't know. Coming from television, I was great in that land. So I figured,
Right.
okay, let's see where this goes. And I was doing it in a heart-centric place. And so I just went with it.
Right. So I think that's so important, and I know this is gonna, not to be cliche or anything, but listeners, this is actually a really key thing. It's heart-centered. You knew that it was something that had to get done, and it wasn't not that there was fear. You just knew you had to do it, and you had the passion for it. So it wasn't you weren't letting something get in your way.
I didn't think a second thought about it. I just navigated through. And again, it's a big difference, right? Going from television into finance. That's a big, big leap. And it's a foreign language. It truly is. So I wanted to make sense of it for my grandma. And then on that journey, it was for others and other women.
Right. And I love that you're doing, that it's helping that journey for other women. Are all of your clients women?
No, no. It's funny that you say that. So we do have obviously a lot of women that are clients, but we also have a lot of predominant men that will come and sit down and say, I am not going to outlive my wife. We would love to have somebody that can communicate with her comfortably because women do business differently. Women communicate differently. So we have, I would say, almost half half.
That's actually really quite cool. So,
Mhm.
you know, so thinking about those beliefs and experiences, and how money shapes our decisions. How do you feel like mastering that emotional relationship with money becomes that foundation for both what you're doing and unstoppable success?
Yeah. So I also have a podcast as well, and that's what we talk about. And how that basically became born was clients coming to me saying, "Hey, Jennifer, can I buy a couch?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, you can buy a couch. You have a multi-million dollar portfolio and you're wildly successful. You can buy a couch." Well, the interesting thing was this person in particular went back to a money memory of being a kid in his family, blue collar, Midwestern family, trying to get food on the table. So it didn't matter how wildly successful or how many millions he had invested. He went back to that memory. And everyone has a money memory. Everyone, every walk of life, no matter where you're from, what your background is, what your socioeconomic status is, it's a money memory. So it's the psychology behind why you do what you do.
Yeah. My money memory is that my it just money grows on trees. No, just kidding.
That's that's a familiar one for a lot of folks. I mean, it can be negative, it can be positive. I mean, it's ultimately whatever your journey is, and then does it make sense for you to still carry that, or does it make sense for you to change the narrative and make it more supportive for your journey?
Yeah. So I want to talk about, I mean, you've had great success, and with great success, it did not happen overnight. And if it did, well, maybe kudos to you. Not most people don't have the straight linear up. There's usually some ups and downs. So I'm curious, as you were building your firm and as you were getting into this, what were some of these challenging moments that you had, and what leadership principles help you stay focused?
Yeah, I mean, anybody going into business, it's a whole different beast, right? Like, I mean, if you're an employee, you're getting a paycheck every week. When you're not, then you are not always. For me, I think the pivotal moment was thinking through that was I had to buy pens and paper. Because normally, like when you work for someone, there's a supply closet. You get pens and paper, like you don't have to buy them. And I'm like, I gotta buy pens. I mean, that sounds so trivial, but for me, that was a big pivotal moment. And granted, I was very grateful. When I launched Platinum Wealth, it was before COVID. So we really got our feet in the mix. We started doing things virtual before most other firms were, just because I had clients throughout the US. So my momentum picked up really fast. Very grateful for that. And then when COVID happened, we were very responsive. So if people called us, we would call them back. We were there. We weren't, putting our head in the sand, being scared and not communicating. Like again, communication is so important. I feel like in any aspect of any career path, but for us especially, and we wanted to make sure we were talking to people and supporting and handholding where needed. And so for us, we grew ridiculously during COVID because we were communicating. So we did have kind of a upward trajectory that I wouldn't have planned for myself by any means, but very grateful that people entrusted us managing their money.
That is great. I love what you said. I mean, obviously about communications, because that's like a big thing, in the leap method that I talk about. The L is actually it's leverage, and it's leveraging your strengths and communication because of how you speak. And
Mhm.
we all have this thing that I'm holding up, which is my phone, right? And so many of us will actually, instead of using it for the phone, will hide behind it. So it's, kudos for you for actually using it and communicating with people and talking to people. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
so
people
important.
want the communication. Communication
Right.
is so important, and I feel like that is a shining golden star these days, quite frankly, right? You look at so many businesses and you get an email or you hope someone emails you back. Communication is lacking, I feel like, in so many different areas. So that customer service level is just different. And it's evolving, but I wanted to make sure when I launched Platinum Wealth Management, that we were giving the best level of service based on communication. Granted, like if somebody needs us, you're not getting thrown in a phone bank in a far off land. Like you're talking to a member of my team. We're supporting you. We're here to help you. We know you.
Yeah. Yeah. So what made you decide to, sort of go out on your own versus, I guess, like, and starting your own umbrella versus, joining something like a Morgan Stanley or I don't know, whatever. American Express or Ameriprise, whatever. They used to be, Ameriprise used to be American Express.
Yeah, I did work for big firms and I had hundreds of clients and managed very sizable books of business. And I mean, back to the original point, the thing that I saw, I mean, you see good nuggets and bad nuggets along the way, right? So for me, I was seeing the customer service side and the relationship being punted to phone banks. And clients didn't like that. And clients are like, we just want to talk with you. We don't want to go to a phone bank. And so there's a frustration there. And I saw that along the way. And I thought, I could do this differently and make it very more heart centric, but the communication stronger and the relationship stronger. And know that we want to know about you, why you do what you do. And when you call us, we know you. We know your kids. We know your grandkids. We know the whole family. We want to be able to support there. And I felt like that was getting lost a little bit in the big scheme of the world.
Yeah, so I'm curious, how do you feel that your TV role or your TV experience has also helped you in your current role?
Huge. It's been huge. I mean, obviously, it's made me comfortable to talk in front of a camera. So
Right.
podcasting has been fun and a journey. I think that's been great. I mean, I do a lot of national media and I do a lot of national speaking. So it goes hand in hand. Unfortunately, there's not enough people talking about the psychology of money. So I feel like that's an interesting topic that a lot of people resonate with. So I travel quite a bit, sharing this message.
Yeah. And so, thinking about legacy and leadership, obviously you're as you shared, you're traveling and you're sharing across the stage, but also you're very active in the community. So, what do you think, what does influential leadership look like to you today, and how can high achievers build success while lifting others along the way? What's your thought?
I think that is, I mean, so important to what we do, right? One of the things that we say is everyone deserves a seat at the table when it comes to their financial journey. And again, that's not just for clients, that's for my team. That's for my team and lifting one another. That's in every aspect that we do, right? We want to make this better, the world a better place ultimately in everything, but especially in finance where it's been such a foreign language for so long. So I think by volunteering, by being in the community, by sharing messages, by supporting others and making others feel worthy, I think is a huge part of what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. No, it's, I think being part of the community is so important. I actually was on a podcast this morning and the gentleman was talking about, and I didn't realize this, there's a couple of websites that really just focus on giving back in your industry. I was
Hmm.
like, oh, blown away. Like I did not, need share some of those. So I think that's so important to actually be able to do that. So, thinking about, you know, obviously starting your business, this leadership journey, if somebody, what is the biggest tip you can say to somebody who is, maybe on that precipice? Do I go out on my own or do I stay where I am? What would you tell them?
I think that depends on the individual, right? That's a hard question to give a hard answer to per se. I think it depends on the individual and are you willing to, buy pens, buy paper,
Mm,
make paychecks, like pay other people on your team. I mean, as you grow, there's more mouths to feed that you have to worry about to make sure that they're supported and that they're emotionally supported. So then they're trickling down and doing absolutely the right thing for whoever your clients are.
yeah.
I'm so grateful that I did. I think my timing was impeccable. I feel like that was a lot of it outside of me, by all means. But I'm so glad that I did. And I think that a lot of people that end up going on their own entrepreneurial journeys think, why didn't I do this sooner? Right? You're definitely taking a risk and it's very scary. But at the end of the day, like you're able to make such a big difference if that's what you choose to do.
Yep. So now how do you bring that entrepreneurial journey into your workplace? Because obviously you're now the employer, right? So how do you keep that thrive going so that maybe somebody who may have that thought, like, do I go out on my own, you know, but they want to stay? Like, how do you keep that going so that you're that great employer that they don't want to leave?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a little biased, but my team say they're all lifers, right? All lifers because we have the flexibility and we listen to one another and we grow from one another. There's not a strange hierarchy where anybody feels, to my knowledge, uncomfortable about what we do. People are open to bring ideas to the table and how we navigate things, and everybody's very heart-centric. And I think that's really the spillover for us. And I think the overlap is everyone wants to do the right thing always. It's not a question of that. My team came together not in a way where I had a help wanted sign out at all. It was very organic, where people ended up just in front of me or introduced to me and just all came together. And it's been a beautiful journey. I mean, I'm very grateful for the team that we have. But again, we all lean in together and we all support each other. We have a meeting every single day where we talk. And granted, some of my team is remote. So we're on Zoom every day for half an hour, seeing each other, talking through things. But what we talk through is what's your win, personal or professional? What are you working on and what do you need help on? And it's so lovely to see if someone else has something personal going on in their life that they share that and the team rallies and says, "How can I take that off your plate? How can I support you?" And it's everyone. I've never worked in an environment where I've seen anything like that, but I'm so grateful to be growing one and to be a part of one and have that my own.
Right. It's interesting, when you're talking about meeting every day, even if it's for 30 minutes, so many people are like, oh my God, too many meetings. So how do you, get people excited? I mean, obviously the wins, but, people might be listening to this thinking, oh my God, a meeting every day.
Well, I mean, if you're not working in the same building as somebody, you have to have a meeting every day, like to know what's happening with your team. And my team ranges in age from, 19 years old up into their 70s. So we've got quite a demographic of folks, but I truly think like it wouldn't necessarily be a fit for my team if you weren't rallying and wanting to see how other people were doing, what was going on. I think that's a characteristic that magically has, again, organically happened in my group. But it's not a meeting to have a meeting. It's a meeting to find out what's going on, how we can support our clients, and how we can support each other.
Right. And so when you're thinking about like somebody who's like young, right, and starting out, and they're on their journey, like what would be the biggest tip you could say to somebody, whether it's a financial journey or any journey? Like what are the top, like, five things that you could say to somebody to do as they're stepping out?
I mean, I could give you dozens. I mean, I think the top one would be get an internship. If you're in school and you haven't had an internship, get one now. It doesn't matter what you want to do, figure it out. That's how you figure it out to see if there's passion there and that's what you want to kind of explore as a career path. I had 5 internships when I was in college. Mine were all in TV. I've had several interns on my team who were interns for 3.5 years who are now advisors. I wanted them to cut their teeth and see if this was a passion for them. And if it wasn't and they wanted to go in a different arena, then I was going to do my best to be able to lift them and put them in front of the people that they needed to be in front of. So I think being in a healthy, relationship with whoever your internship is, learn as much as you can. LinkedIn is such a resource, and it's exciting to me to see so many younger people who are in high school or college getting their LinkedIn like messaging out there. I love that because you're networking. So I would say the two big things are really networking, well, three, networking, LinkedIn, and interning. And I think that really puts yourself 5 steps ahead of everyone else because then you have an idea, is this the career path that at least I want to start out on now?
Yeah. What you just something that you said I think is actually really important. And that is that, you know, if somebody's interning with you and maybe it's not the right fit, but you obviously have connected with them, to go out of your way to go and help them find something else. That's I mean, not a lot of people think that way. So how did you come to that philosophy?
That's who I am, right? Like I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's totally okay. But if I can help them navigate to their cup of tea, that's great. What a blessing that is because they're going to be joyous in whatever they do. I mean, we should have joy in our workplaces, in our lives, wherever we can. It's not always perfect, but if we can help each other, and again, back to lifting one another, that makes the world a better place.
It truly does. I mean, it's funny because, there's so many people uh, that I've talked to. It's it's that mentality, that quintessential mentality that, they said, I worked here, but I knew I was ready to move. And my person who I was working for said, oh, let me pick up the phone and call and help because so it doesn't happen often. So it's really lovely that that's something that you do because it really can change the trajectory of somebody else's life.
And it helps them create whatever joy that they need or they're finding. Like, be happy in what you're doing, right? I think that in any career path.
Yeah. So I want to go back to that, idea of, talking also about, the whole money psychology, um, because something that you said, whether somebody has a something in their past where they've just, they come to save, like they don't want to spend the money. There's a person who is buying the couch, right? Or can I buy the couch? How do you
Hmm.
actually help them? Because that psychology with money is so deep rooted and it must come back often.
It does.
Spirit
It's in
set.
conversations we see every day. And that's again why I initially kind of went down this path. I'm Just finishing up my master's degree in the psychology of money and then going into a PhD program to become a financial psychologist. Again, not to change career paths because it's my firm, but to add value to clients that are navigating this. It affects everyone. It's not just a one person thing by any means, but I think having people have the understanding to have that moment where you give yourself that 2 seconds where you really think about it, sit with it, and have that light bulb moment. I had a speaking engagement yesterday, and that was part of my exercise was having people take 10 minutes and really talk through like, what's your money memory? And I looked around the room, and this was the most interactive. And I've done stages of 10,000 people and done this with big groups and little groups. This group was about 70 people. And it was interesting because it was so, tight knit. I was able to really like walk around from table to table and interact as well. There was that glaze that came over a couple people's faces. And I said, you don't have to have that right now. You're going to have this when you're driving home, when you're picking up your kids, when you're in the shower. You're going to have that light bulb moment. But the mere fact that you're giving yourself space to think about that now and then really see, does it make sense? I realize why I'm doing what I'm doing with money because of X. Does it still serve me to hold that so tight, or does it make sense for me to change my narrative? It's very powerful. But I think it comes down to the individual of giving themselves that time, that moment to really think through what is my money memory? And then did that really affect my relationship with money now as an adult?
Right. And so when you're able to work with people, I mean, I'm assuming, I could assume, but never assume, right? It must, when you can help them flip the switch, what have you seen it do?
Well, I mean, I can tell people all day, hey, these are the 5 things you need to do to make money in the market, and here's how we should do it, and here's how we financial plan. But at the end of the day, I mean, I can tell you that, but are you going to do it? Are
Right.
you going to have, pushback? Is there going to be an issue there? But that goes back to your money memory. So I think if you can really have that moment, have that conversation, open lines of communication and realize what it is, and then talk through, is that serving you? Have that talk with your advisor. I have it with my clients all the time. Does that serve you? You're going back to that money memory. And everyone has one. I have them too. But I think that really engages you of how you look at your financial future to make sure you're doing the right things.
Yeah, no, I totally see that. And I was just thinking though, like when they get over that hump and they start doing those things, it must be amazing to see the blossom.
It is, but I mean, that seed is always planted. So you always
Right.
have to kind of go back to it and think through that too, because it doesn't just go away. I mean, even if you're like changing the narrative, you're always like, oh, that's why. Okay. You've got to be thoughtful with yourself and make sure
Right.
that you're having that realization constantly. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's your
it's
money.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing when people are doing the right things and they see it and they're on a good momentum for themselves. But
Yeah.
this is where the ongoing communication and over communication comes in.
Yeah, no, it's it's kind of like your financial gremlin, right? Like how can you knock it down? It's always going to be there. It's like, or the two, the angel and the devil, right? Sitting on your shoulders. Who's talking to you the loudest, and how do you quiet one versus the other, right?
You can't necessarily quiet one. It's always
Right.
going to be there. You just
Right.
have to make space for it and realize that's what that is. And does it serve you, or do you need to change your narrative? It's always going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you can make it a little bit softer, maybe, right? Not as loud, maybe it helps, right? Um, so Jennifer, how can people connect with you and learn more about what you're doing and so that you can help them have an impact, with their money and this how they think of it?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to connect with us. The Platinum Talks Wealth podcast is our podcast. It's on Spotify, iTunes. We're celebrating our 3rd year, which is crazy. It's gone by so fast. Also, platinumwealth.net is our website. We have a ton of information there. We also have online communities. So in Facebook, we have Platinum Talks Wealth Community, and it's where we deep dive in a social media realm of kind of talking through what these definitions are when it comes to the psychology of money, how that works, different things like that. And we're on all social media platforms too. So we're a lot of places, but yeah, if anyone has questions, we'd love to connect.
Awesome. All right, so listeners, do me a favor. Connect with Jennifer, go to her socials, connect with her, go to Platinum Wealth Management. Really, seriously, what she's doing and helping people is it's just truly, truly remarkable. Everybody does have that crazy relationship with money or that gremlin, and really doing things different with money. So do me a favor, connect with her, and then do me a favor. hit subscribe and share this podcast because I'm guarantee you that there is somebody that you know that needs to hear this message. So, thank you, listeners, for listening. Thank you, Jennifer, for being a great guest. And I'm Jaclyn Strominger, the host of Unstoppable Success. So, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me on the Unstoppable Success podcast, where we don't just talk about growth, we leap toward it. If something today lit a fire within you, sparked a new idea, or gave you the extra push forward, please don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode and podcast with a friend, colleague, or fellow high achiever. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and most importantly, connect with me, Jaclyn Strominger, at leaptoyoursuccess.com for coaching, community, and your next bold move. Keep leading with intention, keep building your network with purpose, and most of all, keep leaping because you were meant to be unstoppable.